Cruise Chat. I'm Kathleen Penner, owner of Plenty of Sunshine Travel. And today for our Cruise Chat, I'm joined from Beverly. And Beverly is from Regent Seven Seas. And we're going to be looking at a really nice itinerary that she's picked for us to look at. Last time we met, we did a whole overview of their cruise line. So if you want to see that, look at the past episodes. But for this one, we're going to be digging right into one of their itineraries that we have. So over to you, Beverly.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. It's a pleasure to be here again. I had a really hard time choosing one itinerary for you because I have so many different favorites, especially in the world of exotics, that we decided to chat about. So I've actually got a few to share with you. Awesome. But I thought before we kind of get going on that, I would just kind of, recap a couple of things that we did talk about the last time. Obviously, cruising right now is suspended for the most part, with the exception of a few companies in Europe, because of the COVID situation, as other travel experiences have been suspended. So it's a bit of the elephant in the room, and people often ask me, well, gosh, how can you even recommend cruising right now? Well, the idea is that cruising is one of the most wonderful ways to travel, and all the people who love this travel experience so much can't wait for us to get back on the ocean. And so I think the fact that people are booking 2021 and beyond madly tells us that there is that definite demand. So the second that the CDC allows us to travel and the vaccine has found all those things, I think the ships are going to be filled again. So not to dwell on the negative, but to move forward onto the positive and talk about some of the things that await us. I mean, I don't have an actual date when we will sail again. Kathleen and I were just chatting about when we thought it would happen. There are some schools of thought that it may be next year before things get back up and running. It could be this fall. I think one thing is for sure is that it'll be in a kind of a stepwise approach. It'll be baby steps. I don't think all ships are going to get back in the water right at once. We're kind of anticipating we might start with one and move forward. But certainly by the end of next winter, or the winter 21, we're hoping to be back full force. So
someone had described it as, instead of turning on a light, we're turning on a dimmer. So it's just going to come back slowly and safely, and I think that's a good way to look at it.
Exactly. And a lot of the guidelines that we're waiting for, the sanctions, the protocols, our recommendations have been submitted to the CDC. We actually created a sail safety or safety sail panel along with another major cruise line to really help the industry, and all those recommendations were submitted last week. So now we're waiting for the actual final approved list of protocols from the CDC so we can start work to get things up and running again. So there's a lot of good stuff in the news again.
A lot behind the scenes.
A lot behind the scenes, absolutely so. So our goal today, as always, is to give clients, potential guests, an opportunity to do a bit of armchair travel. I think it's important that we dream about the future. We always have to have something to dream about, and plans start with dreams. So, and again, just to remind you of why Regent Seven Seas could be a cruise experience that you might want to consider, perhaps something you haven't done before, or even find a destination you haven't done before. So we're going to focus on the exotic cruise destinations today, because I know many clients feel they're a bit behind now. They've lost a year, possibly a year and a half of travel dreams. So they've got things to catch up on, and some of our exotic cruises represent some of the better value out there. So when we talk about exotic destinations, I'm really talking about anything that's beyond Europe and North America. Anything to Africa, Asia, the South Pacific, South America. These sort of wonderful destinations that are far-flung and perhaps involve a longer flight. And different languages, extremely different cultures, sometimes extremely different political environments, environments where the quality of food and beverage is very different, quality of accommodation may be different. And sometimes all these different factors, although they make the destinations more interesting, they also make them more intimidating. And so what many clients have discovered, that cruising to those destinations actually ends up making the best sense. I think initially for a stress-free experience. I mean, you're going to be in a very comfortable environment on our ship. It's going to be consistent. When I tell you that you have a luxurious suite or accommodation on Regent, the quality that we provide may not be considered or something in a hotel in one of these destinations, something luxurious to them may not be as high a quality would be to us. So, a 4-star in India, maybe a 2-star here. So I think getting that consistency of accommodation allows you to be comfortable. The fact that you're only unpacking once, you're not schlepping your luggage on and off buses or trains or planes, and the decision making is done before you go. You know the itinerary, it's all set, and you don't have to worry. I think that's a big thing. The dietary concerns can be huge when you're traveling, especially to Asia and India, for example, when you, even though you may not have specific dietary issues yourself, just the way things are cooked or the types of food can be of concern. So knowing that we will introduce regional specialties but make them acceptable to our kind of systems, I think are all very important. And of course, if you do have a special diet concern, I haven't come across any so far that couldn't be handled. So that's something important as well. The language barrier can be an issue. Traveling on your own in Asia, Africa perhaps in particular, can be a challenge. So knowing that you can have fun in the ports while trying to communicate with your broken Mandarin is always fun, but yet knowing that there are people there to take care of you who speak the language. And ultimately, I think safety and security is a concern. Again, looking at political instability that can occur sometimes in some of these countries, knowing that the ship is there and can be moved at any time, or we cannot go to a certain destination, change an itinerary easy. Sometimes it's not easy to get a flight out of a country, but it's very easy for us to move a ship. So I think these are always great reasons to consider a floating hotel as opposed to perhaps a land package. So as far as Regent, why would Regent be a choice for you as a floating boutique hotel in an exotic destination? Well, I think first of all, the things that we represent, the brand characteristics that we sort of live by. Number one, our goal is to give our guests the most immersive experience we can off the ship. Yes, we're responsible to give you a luxurious travel experience, but ultimately it's all about the destination. So giving you those opportunities to get the most out of your day in port is critical. Having smaller ships with a maximum size of 750 guests allows us to get in and out of places easily, quickly, with spaciousness on board, so you're not crammed in with thousands of people. It makes it very comfortable. And then in terms of the actual cruising experience, being taken care of with impeccable service, accommodated in a luxurious suite, starting at around 350 square feet in many cases, that large and up. And of course, the dining experience is exquisite. And as I mentioned earlier, we will incorporate regional specialties as well, and including everything that you could possibly want on the ship. So you know what the holiday is going to cost you. You don't have to worry about, gosh, can we afford that hotel, or can we afford to do that tour, or have we spent our budget? It's all included up front. So there are many wonderful reasons to travel with Regent and have an unrivaled experience in the exotics. The inclusiveness is always of interest. When I talk about this, as I did in our last session, I think people are always shocked, because when you say all inclusive, they tend to think about maybe airfare, maybe a few drinks, but the experience with Regent is just so far beyond that. Yes, we include airfare. In Canada, from Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, we always include air. If it's a domestic cruise, it would be economy. But once you get into those far-flung destinations, we include business class. So if you're traveling to Asia, Africa, Australia, South Pacific, we would automatically include business class on that intercontinental flight. If you chose to remove it, you can, but we're going to include it up front. We're also going to fly you in a night before the cruise starts if you book a concierge level or higher. So getting into some of these places, you don't want to arrive the same day and run to the ship. So having that night to relax is important. The transfers and the breakfast are going to be included with the hotel package. On board, all suites, we talked about that, beautiful, spacious, luxurious accommodation, all-inclusive beverages of premium quality, whether it be non-alcoholic or alcoholic, fine wines and spirits included on an unlimited basis. Gourmet restaurants up to 5, depending on the ship, with specialty dining included. You're not paying anything extra for those experiences. You have Wi-Fi included, the gratuities are included, the taxes are included, and shore excursions. And that's where the immersive exploration becomes really critical. The extensive array of tours that are included allow you to delve deep into the cultures. And just recently, we added a new inclusion, just when we thought we couldn't get more inclusive. And this kind of ties into the sanitation protocols post-COVID. We're actually including free valet laundry. So not dry cleaning, but laundry. So you can have your laundry done while you're on board. So again, there is no other cruise experience out there that is as inclusive as Regent. Just on the subject of air, as I mentioned, we would include business class for all these exotic cruises, but if you had points, we could remove the business class and we will lower your fare. Depending on the destination, the reduction could be as high as about 8,600 Canadian or around 7,500 US. And that would be for one of the farthest flung destinations. So then you can use your points to purchase your own air and a transfer. Or you could trade up if you wanted first class, or you could trade down to premium economy, and that would also give you some flexibility. So we're very flexible in.
That is really good, yeah.
I think for the exotics, you definitely don't want to be traveling in economy when you're traveling on an 18-hour.
Not for the long flights. There's nothing like having that leg room and being able to.
Well, absolutely, yes. I mean, Europe, it's not too bad. It's not that long of a flight, but once you start going to Africa and Asia, it's a long way. Mm-hmm. And for those of you who perhaps don't want to go in a week or two early, which you could do, we could always change your flight. There's a small customization fee. Maybe you wanted to do an extensive visit in Australia before you embark on your cruise, you could. Or if you just want to fly in the night before, if you're in a concierge or higher, we're going to give you that hotel night included, and then you can embark on the ship all refreshed after a nice breakfast. So as far as we have 5 ships in our fleet, but there are 4 of them that right now are traveling to the exotic destinations. The other one tends to stay right now in Europe and the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. So four beautiful ships ranging in size from only 490 guests all the way up to 750. And again, they are all suites. They are spacious, they're intimate, much larger than they need to be for the amount of people we have on board. And that also ties into the space concerns as people, are talking about post-COVID, will there be less people on ships? Well, we've already allocated a large amount of space to begin with. So we're not necessarily going to be faced with as many reductions, although I'm sure we may have slightly less people on board, but certainly we already had that space. So the fleet has been around since 1999. We've introduced ships since then, the Explorer being the newest of our exotic fleet, 2016, and they've all had extensive refurbishment to the tune of over $125 million. So all very comfortable and beautifully equipped. People travel on Regent for many reasons. Yes, they love the intimacy, they love the space, the physical ships, they love the inclusiveness that makes it so easy and stress-free. But they also love the fact that we have an elegant casual dress code. Being called a luxury cruise line sometimes conjures up impressions of formality, and we definitely are not that. We're elegant casual, meaning no jeans or shorts or sneakers after 6, but a perfectly nice pair of khakis with a golf shirt for the gentleman is acceptable, or as this lady is wearing here, a nice blouse and skirt. We do some optional formal nights on the longer cruises, which sometimes encompass the exotics, and you definitely could bring your suit or tie or your long dress if you wanted, but you're not forced to, which is nice, especially when you're packing for longer travel. Our guests also love the atmosphere on board. We've talked about this before. Again, luxury doesn't mean formal, stuffy, tight. It can mean very warm and friendly. And we encourage interaction with the crew. And there's a lot of fun things we do on board to get that warmth and friendliness going. So do not think that a luxury experience has to be a stuffy one. Not at all. It's very familial on Regent. They also love our accommodation, the fact that we are all suites. This would be an example of one of the smallest that we would offer on the exotic ships. This is a deluxe veranda. This would be a category H on some, or a G or an F on others. You have this beautiful little living room, a large balcony. This can be either a European queen bed, or it can be divided into twins. This particular suite has either a walk-in shower, or it has a shower and tub, and a walk-in closet, which is pretty much unheard of on a lot of ships. So lots of space, because you are traveling for longer periods of time. So you'd start at around this size, going all the way up to over 4,000 square feet if you wanted to. All the suites have luxurious linens, all the benefits that you'd consider important from the hairdryer to the vanity table, the walk-in closet in most of them, the private safe, replenish minibar every day, complimentary on-demand movies, bottle of champagne, butler service in penthouses hire, and the free laundry service. Now, again, the walk-in closets are great because when you're traveling on these more exotic, longer cruises, you tend to have more stuff. So it is nice to have that space. And also some nights to spend the evening in, order in-suite dining and watch a movie. You may not want to necessarily go to the dining room every night. We are known for our oversized balconies, if you can believe it. This is a concierge balcony on the Explorer. And on that, we have very high quality balcony furniture. It's not flimsy plastic deck chairs, as you can see. These chairs actually do recline as well. And if you want to dine on your balcony, they will come and set the table out here as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. That is very spacious. It's great. Yeah.
Very spacious, yeah. All our ships have exquisite dining experiences, a main dining room with open seating, and then specialty restaurants, anywhere from 1 till 3. And the specialty restaurants are complimentary, so there's no additional charge for food experiences. There's lots of different lounges, even on our smallest ship, so you'll never be short of places to go. If you want to find a quiet corner, especially on a longer voyage, you won't be forced to be with the same people all the time. And there's full entertainment. Even though the ships are smaller, you'll find traditional entertainment from bingo to afternoon tea, all the way to full production shows in the evening. But the most important thing I think that will really attracts people to us, again, is the opportunity to explore the ports of call. So that extensive selection of free shore excursions, excuse me, and I do want to stress it is an extensive selection. I've just chosen an Asia itinerary here for this map. You'll see there are up to 47 free tours included in this Asia cruise. Now that means that, let's say the cruise is 12 nights long. That means you have on average probably around 4 per day that are free. So you can choose. There's different lengths of tours, there's different types of experiences. For people who have mobility issues, perhaps they might enjoy the panoramic motor coach tours. For those who are more agile and more active, they may enjoy whether it's hiking or museums or wine tasting, something a little different. You can reserve these complimentary tours as early as a year before your cruise departs. So if you're in a concierge level or higher, then you'll have access to the tours a year out. We may add other ones as the year goes along, and you can always change things and add things. If you're in a regular deluxe suite, you have access at 300 days before. So right now we are actually booking our excursions for Asia for October or September 2021, believe it or not.
Yeah, that's great.
There are different types of tours, again, to give you the most in-depth experience. We've developed some different themes. On the Explorer, you have gourmet tours. On all the ships now, you have something called Go Local, where you can have a very colloquial experience. Perhaps in Asia, you want to spend some time in a local market, visiting perhaps an artisan in a very small group. That could be something. If you've been to a port before, you want a different experience, maybe one of the Go Local tours might appeal to you. We also have new Regent Choice small group tours. Now, these came about pre-COVID, where you could pay an extra fee and be part of a tour that was never more than 16 guests. Now, as we move post-COVID, we may find that this becomes the norm. So that's something to stay tuned on. But again, we were kind of ahead of the curve in terms of developing some of these excursions. So when you travel on Regent and you book with companies such as Kathleen's Plenty of Sunshine Travel, working with TPI and what we call Virtuoso, there are many different benefits. And one of the best ones is shipboard credits. And shipboard credits is money that you can spend on board or before you leave. Shipboard credits can be used in advance to enable you to purchase some of the extra special excursions. We have all the free ones, and then we have some of these specialty ones where there's an additional fee. So you can use a $400 shipboard credit to buy some of these specialty tours, or you can even arrange for a private car driver in a certain port. So this is another benefit. Or if not, you can use it in the spa, or of course, the gift shop.
Yes.
One of the enhancements that we've been working on during this COVID period is introducing smart guide technology. when you're traveling in a group on a tour, one of the concerns that people have is being able to hear the guide. And what we wanted to do was work with a technology that would allow you to use your own smartphone and your own headphones. So again, back to the, sanitation, where you're basically using your own equipment. It's never belonged to anybody else. And what you'll be able to do using your smartphone is to punch in a code that the tour guide gives you, and that will code you into her. So with your group, you will be hearing her voice in your ear. So this is a marvelous technology that's really going to improve guest shore excursion experience. And it's up and running and will be available as soon as we start sailing again. So very excited about that.
Yeah, wow.
So back to the exotics, like we've talked about why Regent is a great choice for visiting and cruising to the exotics. There's one other reason that I think is amazing. We offer some free land programs with the cruise. So how many cruise lines do that? So in addition to the cruise experience, in many destinations such as Auckland, Sydney, Papeete, Dubai, Barcelona, Bangkok, Cape Town, we're going to give you up to 3 nights free before or after your cruise. These extra special tours or packages would sell for up to $2,000 US a person on other cruise lines, but yet you have them included on many of our departures. So that's another additional inclusive value on top of the business class and all those other things that really add to your experience. Because after all, who wants to fly into Bangkok and get on a ship that day and sail away, right? You want to have some time to explore. So you can do pre or post. So you pick one free, and then if you want to stay longer earlier, you could always purchase another one to extend it further. So very exciting. When you look at the Regent prices, as we talked about in our last session, our fares are always going to look a lot higher than the other cruise lines initially. And I'm waiting for some updated charts, but we're still working with 2020 right now. So just as an example, an Asia cruise in 2020 that we're selling on the 17-night voyage on the Voyager, which is 700 guests, comparing a suite on Regent of 356 square feet, we looked at another luxury cruise line, something similar. And you could do a similar exercise even with other companies such as Holland America, Princess, Celebrity, Azamara, Oceania. It's interesting to do the comparison. Yes, our fare is going to look higher. In this case, we were $13,899. The other cruise line was $69,18. So we're over twice as much. Why? Because we include business class. They don't. We include a land program, they don't. Shore excursions, they don't. Wi-Fi, gratuities, etc., etc., etc. Going down the bottom, and what you'll see at the end of your trip, you've still only spent $13,899, which is what Plenty of Sunshine, Kathleen would have quoted you, but yet on the other cruise lines, you'll find at the end of the day, you probably will have spent more than you would have done on Regent. So it's an interesting comparison to do. We encourage you to do that with any destination you're looking at, because Regent, if you're looking at a balcony suite, then definitely we could be the better value. So definitely in the exotics with those land programs, shore excursions. So.
And if you'll notice, you were even one day more compared to the other way.
Exactly, yes, exactly. So there's all that you have to compare apples to apples, right? People often say, wow, they're expensive. No. Value is what it is. Think about value, not price. And that's the kind of approach you have to have when looking at the experience that Regent offers. So I picked a handful of itineraries that I thought might be appealing, especially to Canadians, ones that are selling well despite COVID, because they are unusual or represent extraordinary value. One of them departing next September, so just a little under a year from now, is our Vancouver to Tokyo sailing. The Japanese cruises were sold out for this year and early next year until COVID. There's a huge demand on them, so people are anxiously waiting to get back there. So what's happening is itineraries are filling quickly for 21 and 22. There is a lot of, everybody who was traveling this year has now shifted their booking. So it may seem early to be booking, but it really isn't. But there is still a little bit of space left on this voyage, where you have the comfort of traveling to Vancouver, so you don't have a long flight, and you have the experience of seeing Alaska and Russia and Japan. So on this 19-day voyage, you do have a business class air included back from Tokyo. You'd have economy to Vancouver, business class back. And what I have some people doing who are doing this cruise, they're actually then staying on for the next round trip Tokyo cruise, because you can then really say that you've done Japan. So it's a great opportunity. So in doing that, we would just shift your business class air and, you know, change the price accordingly. So in this case, you get one of those free 3-night land programs. So you could do either the back-to-back cruise or this cruise. You could do 12 nights on the ship, and then we would give you 3 nights in Tokyo. So that is something to consider. And again, looking with business class included and the free nights, you've got 15-night experience completely included with business class for under 19,000 Canadian. So that's definitely a great value. Very unusual cruise. This isn't something that you would probably do on your own ever, not on a ship. This Abu Dhabi to Cape Town cruise is one of our best sellers. Again, a very long flight to Abu Dhabi and back from Cape Town. It's going to be business class both ways. So on a category F deluxe veranda, which is going to be 356 square feet, nice and big balcony, you're looking at under 26,000 Canadian. Now that's going to give you a 22-night voyage and a 3-night land tour in Abu Dhabi or Cape Town. So you're looking at a 25-night program, again with business class included. You can remove the business class, as I said earlier, and then change your air if you wanted to. What a lot of people are doing on this one is they're taking the free land package in Abu Dhabi, and then what they're doing in Cape Town is they're purchasing it. They're doing a safari add-on. The safari isn't free with us, but I think when you're going that far, you're not going to go to Africa and not do a safari. So that might be something to consider. If not, you could, you know, sort of do something in Dubai first and then take 3 free nights in Cape Town. So this is an extraordinary itinerary during the exotics. So great value. After that departure, the ship does a round-trip Cape Town cruise. So this is something that other people will do. They'll perhaps do a back-to-back, and that's quite common in the exotics. When you're over in that part of the world, people will often do, you know, a 12-night or a 15 and add on a 10. So they're covering that part of the world completely. So in this case, you could stay on the ship if you wanted, as the next cruise is a 15-night round-trip Cape Town sailing, which takes you to Lüderitz, to Walvis Bay, to Moselle Bay, Durban, Richards Bay, Maputo, and Port Elizabeth. The 15-night cruise itself also comes with free nights in Cape Town. So you could perhaps either go in early, do a safari, and then stay in Cape Town for 3 nights at the end, or the reverse. So this is for under 23,000 for the 18 nights.
And you get 24 different short excursions to choose from.
Well, you do always, yeah, just up to 21 free, and then, you know, if there are any shipboard credits, you'll have more. So that's, and I should say on these free land packages, when we say they're free, you have your accommodation, which is Regent quality. You have all your tours included, and transportation, the tour guide, and most of your meals. We say most because the clients want to have a little bit of independent exploration so they can perhaps try a local restaurant and whatnot. So we do include most of the meals, but give you the chance to have some of that local exploration, which is fun. So this is a bit closer to home. This is one of my favorite cruises. And for those people who are lucky enough to be so well traveled that they've pretty much done all their major things on their bucket list, but maybe not the Amazon. That's one of those exotic things that you should do once. We have a marvelous round trip Miami cruise that goes to the Amazon. I like this because it's like 2 cruises in one. You have a beautiful Caribbean itinerary that's taking you to some of the more interesting upscale islands, such as Barbados, St. Lucia, St. Bart's, Tortola, St. Vincent, etc. So you have that relaxation of traveling down to South America. You're avoiding a long flight down to Brazil. So you just have the return Miami flight because the ship's going to start in Miami and come back. So after you've done the Caribbean on the way down, you're going to travel 1,000 miles up the Amazon to Manaus. Now, Manaus was at once known as the Paris of South America. So it was a very sophisticated, culturally advanced city. In fact, there is this pink building is their opera house there. So people are often quite shocked to see what a large place it is. It's kind of lost that title now, but it's a booming city. And to be on the Amazon where you are actually 1,000 miles up a river that is so wide that you cannot see from side to side is quite astounding to people. But then also have the opportunity to see some of the more local native communities like Boca de Valeria and Parintins, for example. So this is a really interesting cruise, and you can avoid a lot of exotic travel on airplanes, and you're almost on the same time zone. So that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Little more exotic into South America, we have a cruise in January 2022 that is also going to take you to Antarctica. Now, I just have to clarify that this voyage does not disembark our guests in Antarctica. It's going to be more of a cruise through. So some people are not looking for sort of zodiac disembarkations. They just want to see it and say they've been. So we added this sort of side sail down to Antarctica. The cruise itself is Santiago to Buenos Aires. It's 19 nights long. We'll take you around Cape Horn, give you a chance to answer your inner Magellan to round it, and of course see the Falkland Islands. And this cruise comes with 3 free nights in either Santiago or Buenos Aires. Many clients will do Buenos Aires, and then perhaps from Santiago they may pay for an overland tour to go to see Machu Picchu, for example. That could be something that you do. So another exciting itinerary. And again, I know these are very far out, but many of the prices I'm quoting you here are not the lowest category. They've already been sold. Usually the top and the bottom goes first. So what we're left with on these is kind of the middle range, beautiful suites of around 356 square feet. So again, February 22, if the South Pacific is on your agenda, I think this itinerary is marvelous. It encompasses some of the more exotic Asia, South Pacific Asia ports, such as Komodo, Bali, Java as well, and yet some of the best of Australia, perhaps allowing you to extend your trip. So start in Singapore, take your free land package in Singapore perhaps for 3 nights, and then from Sydney, you can either fly home or perhaps add on some kind of land package that might take you inland depending on how long you've got. But the Regent experience alone for this price point is going to give you 24 nights, which will include the 21-night voyage plus a 3-night free land package. And you're looking for around 28,500 Canadian. Now, business class alone to do this is probably going to cost you, what would you think, Kathleen, around $8,000 probably?
Yeah, I was going to say between 7 and 8.
8.
I have a client that goes to Sydney frequently, and just in regular, it's about 2,000. So I would say it would be between 7 and 8 to fly in business.
Yeah, for business class. So I think if you look at that, you're looking at around 20,000 Canadian for the entire experience on board the ship, everything. And typically on many of these cruises, most of the visas are included. There might be the odd one or two that aren't, but in many cases they are. So it's quite extraordinary. And again, you know exactly what you've spent. So those are just an overview of some of the itineraries that I think are intriguing, have proven to be very popular with Canadians, and also offer some of the great value. But as I mentioned, what many guests will do, especially now they've lost a year, 18 months of travel, they'll do what we call grand voyages, which basically are several cruises strung together. So we'll choose a few to promote specifically. For example, in May, a Grand Arctic Adventure, which will take clients round trip New York all the way up to the Arctic, Greenland, Iceland, as well as Northern Europe. That's 94 nights. The Grand European Tour in August next year, which is 59 nights, Stockholm to Istanbul. The Circle South America, which will allow you to start in Miami, circumnavigate the entire continent back to Miami in 62 nights. And then, of course, there are world cruises. 2021, unfortunately, was suspended due to COVID, but 2022, we have a few suites left on our South Pacific circle or round trip San Francisco World Cruise. And just recently, in fact, this time last week, we launched our 2023 World Cruise, which will sail from Miami to Barcelona. It's 143 nights, leaving January 7 in 2023. And believe it or not, almost all the categories are sold out in a week. We have a few suites left in concierge and lower, but believe it or not, that's how far in advance people are booking and appreciate the value that a world cruise offers. Again, you can't be shocked when you see the price, because at the end of the day, you have to think about what you're getting for the money. And for people retiring in the next couple of years, or for people who maybe are celebrating a big milestone, an anniversary, or maybe they've sold a business and they haven't been able to travel extensively. They've been tied close to home and they've only been able to do short trips. This is a way to do it all at once by spending 4 to 5 months on board a ship, which sounds crazy. But what happens is when you're on board a ship that long is it starts to become where you live, not your vacation. So after 2 weeks, you stop having 2 desserts and having 3 glasses of wine with lunch. You start to live your life. So, I mean, you exercise, you get into a routine, your suite becomes your apartment. So it's a different, and people really, in some cases, don't want to leave the ship after they get used to being with the people and also the crew. So this is an annual experience, although we do alter the itinerary, but in 2023, it's proven already to be a winner. As I said, 143 nights long, encompassing most of the world except North America, which is very, very exciting. So you'll visit 3 oceans, 6 continents. There'll be 11 nights where the ship stays overnight in port, where you can experience those cultures in the evening. You'll see 42 countries, 48 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, 72 different ports of call. There are 356 free excursions included, and you'll travel over 38,000 nautical miles. So it's an incredible thing to put on your bucket list. And as I said, all the top suites and the penthouses are completely waitlisted. We do have some concierge and some deluxe verandas left. The price point in Canadian starts at around $106,000 a person. And as I said, represents incredible value. We add even more to a world cruise and indeed to some of the grand voyages. So you get all the inclusiveness that Regent normally offers, but you're going to get more on this. First class air, for example. We have a spectacular kickoff celebration. In this case, it'll be in Miami where our executives from the company and entertainment join our guests to wish them farewell. You have several exclusive shoreside experiences that the other guests don't have. We provide door-to-door luggage service. We know you're going to need more than 2 bags on this. So you have complimentary luggage service. There's a free visa package, unlimited valet laundry, including dry cleaning and pressing. You have free phone time to keep close in contact with home, free onboard medical service, and a free gift. So lots of goodies in addition to the world cruise. 11 overnight stays, as I'd mentioned, in some of the most amazing exotic ports around the world. And these exclusive shoreside experiences that, as I said, only world cruise guests get to have. About 1/3 of the ship will probably be world cruisers. So out of 700 guests, you'll probably find about 250 people will be on the entire world experience, perhaps more. And then the rest of the ship will be people doing individual segments. They won't get these special experiences. This is only for the people who are on the entire world cruise.
Wow, that's phenomenal.
There are some additional overland tours that you can purchase. For example, you'll have the chance to actually leave the cruise for a couple of nights, 2 or 3 nights, depending on what you want to do. Now, these would be extra. Some of our customers want to really do it all, and so they will come and go. So depart for a couple of nights, come back and rejoin the ship. So they're available in many places around the world. And I know some of them are particularly interesting, especially when it comes to places like Taj Mahal and Machu Picchu. So whether it's a world cruise you're considering or a longer voyage, what is good to think about is how much would it cost you for transportation and hotels if you were to do a 143 night all-inclusive hotel trip? What would you spend if you were doing airfare and transportation and tips and food and dining and traveling and hopping all along? Something to think about, because most people agree that it would cost them a lot more than what we're going to charge.
And there's so much to do, like to get your visas and to get all that ready and to book all your flights. And it's a lot of,
It's a lot of work and a lot of stress. It really is for the agents as well as the
That's what I'm thinking about here. Yeah, it's a lot to do, and this is great that it's all included. Yeah.
And think about how many trips would you have to do to see this much. And this is where people who have not been able to travel a lot really see the value. Let's say they would probably have to do 14 10-night trips in their life to do this. That's airfare there and back twice each time. So you're actually it would cost you more money to do all these destinations if you separated them into separate trips. So that's something to think about. You know, what additional budget would you need? Spending money. What would you spend on visas? How much would you spend on tours? How can you know this? How many times would you have to pack and unpack? The stress of that, the flying. You know, what kind of concern would you have about language and food? Those things we talked about. And again, the quality and consistency of service and accommodation. I think that's really important at the end of the day. What would you end up spending per day on a vacation of this kind of quality? And when you look at that and consider it and compare it to the cost of a world cruise or one of our longer cruises, not quite as long as 143, when you think about it being completely inclusive, the only additional spending you need is souvenirs and the odd ice cream or meal off the ship if you decide to go on one of the overland tours. I mean, basically, you don't have to spend anything. It's all done. And you only unpack once, and we're going to deliver your luggage to and from home free. So you don't have to worry about the language, the visas, the food quality, the water. You've got a medical service on board. You've got first-class service and accommodation. And I think most important thing is you've got a lot of TLC. Our people are there to make your experience completely unrivaled. They're going to look after you like no other person. And think of how well you get to know people in that length of time. Whereas in a hotel, you're never having that relationship with the service people. You know, you're coming and going all the time. Our folks, they're going to be like family after the first week, I can promise. Now, in terms of a price point, looking at this, which is kind of interesting, if we look at the Canadian and the US pricing, let's say you booked a category G, which is about the third category up. So that would be around 356 square feet with a balcony. You'd be looking at around $106,000 per person. That works out per day at $741 Canadian per person per day. Now, if you were to go to Bangkok and check into the Shangri-La Hotel, you would spend that just on a hotel. So when you think about what you're getting for the money, it really becomes an extraordinary value. Now, it is a trip of a lifetime. It really is for many people. But I think, you know, if you've had the chance to, whether you've had an inheritance that you've received or whether you've had a major real estate sale or you're downsizing, a couple of $100,000 to some people is when you're getting a life's experience, is something that they're willing to spend. So I did want to talk about that, just ending our discussion on exotics, because it's one of the most popular cruises. As you can see, the fact that it's sold out, nearly sold out for 2023. So just to plant some seeds about longer voyages and the value, remembering why cruising makes so much sense when you're traveling to these types of destinations. It can really take a whole load off your mind and add a huge value and comfort to your experience. So our next itinerary releases for 22-23 are going to come on October 21st. So clients, if you have clients who are looking at travel in summer 22 and beyond, we're going to have those itineraries available. And the World Cruise will be offered in segments in 23 this coming January. We're going to open up those segments. So if you want to just do, say, Lima to Papeete, that could be something that you could do. So lots of good stuff coming up in the next 2 to 3 months with Regent for far ahead planning, which does make sense considering ships are smaller, very high demand. People are catching up on lost travel opportunities. So don't expect there to be a ton of space. We're seeing the opposite holding true in the cruise industry right now. The demand is higher than it's ever been. So always good to plan ahead. Remember to think value, not price. Do a comparison. I think you'd be amazed yourself. I know that Kathleen works very hard on these comparisons herself, but she even encourages her clients to do them as well. And I think you might be quite surprised that all along, some of the travel you've done already, or cruising, you perhaps could have been on Regent traveling in 6-star quality. Mm-hmm. Of course, booking with Plenty of Sunshine Travel, being part of TPI and an affiliate of Virtuoso, also brings additional value to the equation. And Regent is a partner with Virtuoso. So Kathleen can bring you additional things such as shipboard credits, perhaps discounts on tours, upgrades in hotels. There's many wonderful amenities she can bring to your travel experience, Regent included. So I know she's very proud to do that. So
absolutely.
So yes. Book early, think ahead.
Yes.
Armchair travel is great, but if there is something you want to do in the next 2 to 3 years, don't think it's too early. We do offer refundable deposits up until a certain deadline with only $125 per person non-refundable administration fee. So when you're booking many of these exotics, it's a very small amount. World cruises are a little more, but certainly on a regular Asia cruise or South America, Africa, it's really $125 per person to buy yourself the opportunity to go. That's really what it is, which I think is, it's a pretty good deal. It really is. So I'm going to leave you with my favorite saying. I always use this on a presentation because I haven't found a better one to describe the message I want to leave you with. And it's in the immortal words of Benjamin Franklin, one of the more erudite presidents. The bitterness of poor quality remains long after the sweetness of low price is forgotten. So a great thing to end on, I think. And I've taken a lot of your time, but I hope you've been interested and have seen some destinations perhaps that have tweaked your interest and things that you might put on your radar for travel in the next couple of years and hopefully on Regent Seven Seas. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you for putting all this together. It was wonderful to learn about all of those. And some of those cruises look absolutely phenomenal. So thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you, Kathleen.
Okay. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Hey everybody, I hope you enjoyed this week's cruise chat with Regent Seven Seas. I certainly enjoyed learning all about their itineraries. That world cruise looks amazing, and I cannot believe that it sold out within a week. That's just phenomenal that they have wait lists for that. The next time I meet with Regent Seven Seas, which will be around the middle of January, I'm going to be doing something really, really special. We're going to be picking an itinerary, and we're going to be promoting that itinerary, and then we're going to be offering it to you at an incredible special rate. And if we get enough interest, I will be joining you on that cruise. So be thinking of some different itineraries that we're going to be looking at. If you want to put in the comments down below your favorite, we can certainly look at those, and we'll take some time, look at them all, and we will come up with a great price, and we will come up with a great way to get you onto Regent Seven Seas. Next week, I'm going to be meeting with Silver Sea Cruises, and Silver Sea is an expedition type cruising, and they do so many things that's just phenomenal up in the Arctic and up in all that area with their zodiacs and getting you really, really close to the adventure. Come and join us next week for that cruise chat as well. And remember, in the bottom in the description as well, there's going to be a link to the show notes page. And on that page, we'll have all of the slides in case you went a little bit too fast or you wanted to see some of the places that they go again just a little bit more. I'll have a picture of the slides so you can blow it up a little bit and you can take a look at it better. Be sure to click on that link and check out my blog post. If you have any questions at all, please reach out to me at Kathleen@PlentyOfSunshineTravel.com. And if you want any help with planning your special cruise with Regent Seven Seas, or any of the other cruise lines I've looked at as well that I have other cruise chats for. I believe there's 14 up on the website already, or maybe 15. But be sure to check all those out anyway and see all the differences with the cruise lines and all that there is. And then we can get you on the cruise line that best works with you. So all of our cruise chats come out every single Thursday around 11 a.m. Be sure to check that out. The best way to see it is to subscribe to our channel. And then that way you get first notification. You don't need to wait for me to go and announce it on our Facebook page or to announce it on my blog post. You can just go right there and see it if you subscribe to it. So make sure that you subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for watching this week, and be sure to tune in next week and look ahead and see all the great things that we've got coming up. I look forward to sailing with you soon and to see you all in person. Have a great week, everybody. Bye.